The slow car, you have to kind of follow the car in front of you. If you get aggressive, it actually hurts you. So a fast car means you can be aggressive, but also with your qualifying position, it can set your strategy. If you want to run in the front, try to lead laps, and you qualify 25th, it's going to be much harder to do that. So the strategy for every driver, not just the drivers that are racing to get in this chase and move into the next round, but for every driver, that strategy can be set today for tomorrow's race.
Yeah, qualifying good, it's not a track position thing that increases your chance of winning the race, but it's perception. If you have a car that can qualify in the top 5, we talk about how much help these cars need to pass and win the race. Well, other teams will search you out. They know you have a fast car, they'll want to run with you. And then when you go and you look at the non-chase drivers, bragging rights. As simple as that, Rick. When you go through the garage area, you look at Roush Fenway Racing, sits on the pole at Daytona in July with the 16 car. That's a big pat on the back to that whole organization. Every team in that garage area knows this is their chance for their car to shine.
Okay, the cars right now are lined up on pit road. How important is pit selection at this racetrack as far as where you pit during the race?
Well, I think it's important. I think it's important everywhere. I think it's maybe a little less important here. The thing about what's so hard to understand here, if you pit under green, you try to come in with other cars. There's no way today that you can predict who those cars are that you're going to be running with. So it's a little more difficult here to understand that. At a normal mile and a half, you can kind of pick out after practice and say, okay, this guy's good, that guy's good. Here, anybody can be running in the lead pack, so it's a little more difficult to understand where you want to pit.
It is a little more difficult, but you do know, Rick, if you're going to run or draft with your teammates, the last thing you want to do is pit right next to one. You want at least one stall between you and your teammate, so there's still advantages that can be taken.
When we come back, we'll hear from the drivers that are about to take on this 2.66-mile super speedway called Talladega Super Speedway. When the mayhem happened behind Joey, he was racing door-to-door with the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. As they go into turn number 1, the caution light's on. Well, where was the caution light, or where were they in respect to each other when the caution light came on? Joey Logano was in front of the 88. He gets the win, so he was able to celebrate, and now we have what's called overtime and the overtime line at the Sprint Cup level, as well as all the other levels of NASCAR. And he's standing by with Mike Massaro.
Yeah, and he would certainly like to do that once again here in Talladega. He was looking at the video. Obviously, you've had some success here at this racetrack, as you've had in restrictor plate tracks throughout your career. How much confidence does that give you coming into this weekend?
It gives us a lot of confidence, you know, knowing that we've won here last year is recent, that we know how to do this. And I like speedway racing. For a while, I didn't like it, but as you start to kind of learn on what to do inside the car and when the moves to make, and you get a fast shell Penzo forward like we got again, it makes it a lot more fun. You can kind of play that chess match that everyone talks about.
Can this race still be fun knowing elimination is at stake?
Of course. I always have fun. Are you kidding me? I enjoy everything I do. So it's a fun opportunity to be in the situation that we are. Our team is ready for this situation. And I was saying last week, man, I was wishing we could race like Monday after Kansas. So I'm getting antsy sitting around getting ready to race.
You can tell Joey Logano would race every single day if he could, Dave.
Mike, every year since 1980, there has been an Earnhardt in the field at Talladega. So when Uncle Junior was put on the sideline this season, Jeffrey Earnhardt, grandson of the late Dale Earnhardt, and his people put together a deal to put the outfit together, put the colors together, and to get an Earnhardt in the race here at Talladega. How excited were you that this was put together?
I was really excited. You know, I didn't have a super speedway on my schedule this year. You know, I've ran a lot in the 32, and Bobby's been running them races. So whenever we got the opportunity with Starter to come on board, and Ron to give me the chance to drive for BK Racing, I was pumped. And not only that, but to have Doug as a crew chief, a lot of cool stuff in the works there that makes this weekend just a ton more exciting for me.
And no pressure on you. I mean, Grandpa did such a great job here, time and time again. No pressure at all?
Yeah, a ton of pressure. I was just watching, walking down pit road. They were showing all of his wins that he had here, and I think it's the only time I've gotten nervous so far this weekend. And just to know what he accomplished here, and to see the Earnhardt fan base here, and it just makes it for one heck of a weekend, man. I don't think words can describe what this weekend means, and if we walk away here Sunday with a finish or a win, a good finish or a win, I've already told everybody I'll be sleeping on the start-finish line for the next few nights.
The party would be grand. We'll show you the car here. It's by BK Racing, and as you see the colors here, we'll let Brian walk by and then show you Doug Richard back here as crew chief that Jeffrey mentioned. Doug was the crew chief, of course, for Dale Earnhardt, the very first championship he won back in 1980. Rick?
That's 74 races continuously that there has been an Earnhardt racing at Talladega. And that's Doug Rickert, and he was with Dale Earnhardt, that's senior, there as they were claiming the 1980 championship trophy. A little bit younger Doug. Hair's maybe turned a little bit gray. Of course, we will have an Earnhardt as a part of our broadcast. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to join us for portions of the race tomorrow afternoon. Should be great to get the perspective of a driver that has had phenomenal success at this racetrack, and it will be fun to have him just enjoying the race alongside of us for a portion of the race tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, what a treat for the fans to have somebody, Dale Earnhardt, as good as he is. Your junior just is amazing at these restrictor plate races. His record shows it. It's not by chance that he's won that many races. He's really good. It'll be cool to have his perspective on why drivers are doing what they do.
Yeah, when you talk about the Earnhardts, I mean, Talladega comes to mind because they have had so much success here, both Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Earnhardt Sr. I mean, this back in 2000, the run from the back of the field to the front in the closing laps, I think from 17th or 18th to the win. I mean, why not get his final win at Talladega? I mean, it was just a place that he had won so much, and now his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has the same storied success.
Big celebration for senior. As you mentioned, junior has had the same type of success here at Talladega. When we come back, it's single car qualifying from Talladega Superspeedway. Applied anywhere on any device. Find out more at NBCSports.com/live. Take a look at the rules for today's qualifying. On superspeedways, no group qualifying. It'll be one-time lap in each round. Round one, the top 12 will advance to round two. So that means starting spots 13 through 40 will be set. And then round two, that's when we'll determine who will be on the pole and those top 12 starting positions. There'll be a break in the middle, and under that break, no one will be allowed to put the cool-down units onto the cars until all of the cars have been determined who the 12 will be that will go into the second round.
And, I think not only is it just, the format, the multiple rounds are different, but something that I don't know if anybody anticipated was going from 2 to 1 lap has really changed the approach. Remember, it was really just top speed. You would see cars leave pit road, just like the 32 of Bobby Labonte's doing right here, and run really high up against the wall. But he would do this not just this out lap coming to the green, but he would also do it the whole first lap of time and really get this car up to full speed, then go to the bottom of the racetrack for the lap of importance, which used to be the second lap. With it only being 1 lap now, Rick, these cars have to accelerate differently. There's other things the teams have been able to work on to find speed.
Bobby and Terry Labonte, has there been more successful brothers? And I'm looking at one of the brothers that has been a part of NASCAR, but champions in the sport. Bobby Labonte, a champion, has had so much success. Terry Labonte, Hall of Famer now. Probably one of the most famous and, I guess, successful brother duos in the sport of NASCAR.
Yeah, those guys did it. They did it the right way as well. They raced people the way they wanted to be raced. They raced very aggressively, but they were very respectful on the racetrack. Two really good guys, ambassadors for the sport, really good race car drivers, worked very hard at it. Remember, Bobby Labonte actually worked for the teams that Terry drove for.
Right.
So he came from Texas and actually worked on the race cars. Bobby was a really good fabricator, an all-around race car guy. In his prime, there's nothing on the race car he couldn't do.
Rick, you talked about this yesterday with cars in and out of the pack. That RPM, we see about 81.30. That's going to be a telltale sign. We can watch that with all of these cars as they run. We're looking for basically more RPM, especially down the backstretch. We talk all the time about finding speed. What does finding speed mean? It means you need to have a car that on the straightaways cuts through the air as efficiently as possible, has to make the most horsepower as possible, but also there's a lot of corner between the tri-oval and both ends of the racetrack. You can work on that rear suspension. The more that car travels, the lower the spoiler gets out of the air. Basically, it's an aerodynamic advantage. So we see Bobby Labonte completes his lap at a 51.10. I'm expecting the fast time to be around the 50-second bracket. With what we saw yesterday in practice, there are some teams that did run by themselves, and the faster teams seem to be around a 50-second flat.
And we do have a car that's going to go home today.
Right.
Yeah, but Bobby Labonte, he's not one of those cars based on their situation. with having a charter. They're not going to be one of those cars, but we have one car that's going to go home today.
We have said many times that this one racetrack might be one of the easier ones to qualify on because these drivers are going to hold it wide open the whole time, but it might not be as easy for Matt DiBenedetto, and Dave Burns is going to tell us why.
Well, this is the third BK Racing entry of the weekend. We talked to Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is in the 83 that Matt normally drives. This is a 93. Reagan will be in the 23. But DiBenedetto has food poisoning, according to car owner Ron Devine. Just spoke with him moments ago. And he says he'll gut it out today. He's been taking some fluids to try to get through it, but they expect him to be fully functional tomorrow, but just kind of has to ride this one out.
And this is one of the 5 cars that could go home, so he needs to lay a good lap down. It's he, Ryan Blaney, David Gilliland, Reed Sorensen, and Ryan Reed. So
that's a pretty good lap there, 50.82. As far as for guys that have to be one of the 5 that get into the show, we always take a look at the double yellow line when we go to Talladega or Daytona, and you take a look at this. Regan Smith fighting at the time Tony Stewart down below the yellow line, and once again the rule is you can't go below the yellow line to advance your position.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. The rule is, as you said, you can't go below. If you force someone below, you may be penalized. There's not a guarantee there. So if you're the leader of the race, you use that yellow line to your left, basically the out-of-bounds line. You pin your left side tires against it, and what you saw Regan Smith there was he got a run, and he had to go below the yellow line to advance his position, so the win was virtually taken away and was given to Tony Stewart. But as a leader of the race, Jeff, you know that's your friend. You can use that yellow line to force the cars to go to your outside.
Yeah, that was one of those difficult decisions that NASCAR has to make. You know, when you are the leader and you force someone, or you're running in 10th, and you force someone below the yellow line, and they have no choice but to be there, then that driver needs to understand that he can still not advance his position at that time. NASCAR looks at every case differently, and every case has to be looked at differently, but in that case, they looked at it and said, he did pass by going below the yellow line and took the win away.
54.83 for Regan Smith earlier this year. Started 25th, finished 32nd in this race. As the next car out onto the track, Michael Annett in number 46. Michael also involved in the race earlier this year. Started 38th, finished 38th. Going to look for a better outcome than that. But as I mentioned at the top of the show, all 40 cars that start this race, no matter where they are on the grid, can affect everybody else out on the racetrack.
Well, it's a chance for teams like Michael Annett, where, you know, on a normal race, they don't normally run well enough to win the race, but here they do. Here they can get in the right draft. They can be in the right position. This is an opportunity for these teams. These teams look at this as a potential year-changing, and in some cases, a career-changing opportunity. So this is their chance to go and be exceptionally aggressive and try to make something good happen.
So we showed as we see Michael Annett finishing his lap a little off the pace there, we showed Regan Smith going below the yellow line. Well, as that continued on, this is the other example right here. So the 09 of Brad Keselowski is up against that double yellow line. Carl Edwards tries to squeeze him below that. Brad Keselowski says, you know what? I'm not moving left. I'm not going below the double yellow line. It basically sent Carl Edwards into the air. Some people didn't love that move. Others defended Brad, that he did everything he needed to do. Right. But that's what that does, Jeff, because then Brad knows to stay against that double yellow line. He thought he was safe, and he kind of had to just hold his position.
James Finch liked that win that day.
Yeah.
He was actually on his way out of the racetrack, heard that his car won, and came right back into victory lane.
So Reed Sorensen, he's one of the 5 cars we talked about maybe going home, but this lap he has going right now looks really fast.
Yeah. Saw some sparks, though, out of the 55. You don't want to scrub any speed off of qualifying, right, Jeff?
Yeah, look at the speed, though.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, this is a really impressive lap. Much faster than I thought really anybody was going to go, and Sorensen's going to do it here.
Posting a huge lap here for Reed Sorensen. We'll see what the number is. 49.32. He's a second faster than anybody else that's been on the track. David Gilliland just coming off the track, 50.912. He is currently 4th I think all eyes right now are on the number that Reed Sorensen just put up on the board. 49.324 is what Reed Sorensen ran. Put that into perspective, the pole speed in May that Chase Elliott won the pole with was a 49.704. He ran nearly 0.4 of a second faster, Reed Sorensen did, than what we saw Chase Elliott win the pole with earlier this year. And right now we've got Jamie McMurray on the track.
Well, I just said that I thought a good lap was around a 50 flat, so I'm feeling just a bit dumb that Reed Sorensen has beat that by 0.7. I'm hoping some of these cars prove that that is an outlier. As we see Jamie McMurray, he's tracking at about a 50.3.
Well, yeah, just beat a Ganassi car by a second.
Yeah, a second slower nearly than what Reed Sorensen has posted as a number there.
Now, the only thing I will say is Reed Sorensen has no concern about the race if he didn't make it. So he could do things to his car, basically put it in full qualifying trim, only to make the show. So there's a lot of qualifying oils,
qualifying greases.
No power steering could be hooked up. There are 0.4, 0.5 of a second you could put in a race car, but you can't race it. But Reed Sorensen doesn't care. He can just make it to the first pit stop and then change what he can change, or even if it doesn't last all day, he's in the race. Unlike Jamie McMurray, who's a second off, he's here to race all 500 miles.
And to be clear, when that was the rule, when you go to, like for Daytona, for example, and you go, there is a complete qualifying setup, and it is everything.
Well,
it's hubs.
Yeah,
it's every single thing.
Right.
So, you know, you could play that game, making sure you got in the race. You may blow up, you may have a problem, but you have to get in this race. That could be the strategy.
It definitely has raised some eyebrows as far as the number that was put up there. Is Jeffrey Earnhardt, he's going to be 1.9, almost 2 seconds off the number Sorensen has posted. Right now, he's 8th quickest of the 8 that's been out there. On track, the 23 of David Reagan. And this track very, very popular with not only David Reagan, but all of his fans. Was able to find victory lane here. David Reagan celebrating that win.
And this is what we talked about. Small team coming to Talladega, pulling off the upset. No one would have picked them to win the race. If you say you did, you're lying. And you know, and that's what they did. They pulled it off, and it made a huge difference in moving that team forward.
Chris Buescher winning at Pocono. No one would have expected that to happen, but at the same time it did, and it got him into the chase and a lot of notoriety for that team.
But that's what keeps these teams moving forward. Hope. The alarm clock goes off, you know, early in the morning for these crew members, just like it does the teams that run up front and run for a championship. They come in, the effort is put in. The hours are spent trying to make the best lap possible out of this 23 car of David Reagan. You have to find success or something to kind of hang your hat on, the reason to come back.
Clint Boyer on track, and we go all the way back to 2011.
Come on,
Clint
man.
Boyer.
Why this one?
Sorry.
Why this one?
Who's driving that 31? Oh, that's right.
But if you go back even farther, this was the tandem. And, I mean, you knew you were in a bad position, right? I mean, you were in the bad position at that point because Clint was pushing you going into 3 and 4, and when he stopped pushing, you were basically a sitting duck.
I tried something. I won with him, with me pushing him. I won at Daytona in the qualifier, and then so I knew that I was in trouble. And actually, that's when we could talk to each other. We came and we had such a lead. We came off turn 2, and literally I got on the radio and said, "What are you thinking about, Clint? Trying to figure out how to pass me?" And literally he pushed the button and started laughing. So we came off turn 4, and I just hung a right and made him get underneath me, trying to get him where I could side draft back behind, and I gave him too much room. And it was just, I was in trouble, so I had to try something. It didn't work out. Well, it did for him, but it didn't work out.
It did work out for Clint Boyer as he was able to get to victory lane. And now Boyer runs a 50.913, currently 6th quickest.
But Clint Boyer is a really good road racer. He's really good at this form of racing. He is a restrictor plate racing. He's very good at it. He consistently, I'm telling you right now, you will not see him tomorrow until about mile 400, mile 350. He's going to stay, kind of hang out in the back, and then he's going to make a charge late in the run. He does it every race, and he does it successfully.
How frustrating is it for Kurt Busch when he comes to either Talladega or Daytona? 0 for 62 for this driver. He has not won on a restrictor plate racetrack. And I know that today is just qualifying, but you have to continue to think every time you come to these racetracks, what do I need to do to get to victory lane?
Yeah, and having raced with him, I don't consider him not good at this. I consider him to be a good restrictor plate racer. The record doesn't indicate it, but I think he's been in position to win several of them. Just hadn't been able to finish it off. But I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have guessed he'd never won one of these races.
Tracking fairly close, about a half a second off of what Reed Sorensen has run. So pretty impressive lap there, 49.786.
And I think what we need to remind everyone is, remember, this is only round one. The top 12 advance, and then their lap times become erased, and they have to go do it again. So even as impressive as that lap is by Reed Sorensen, Kurt Busch, his goal was to end up inside the top 12. The 31 of Ryan Newman we see here taking the green flag, end up inside the top 12, because then you come in, cool the car down, and have to go do it again.
Yeah, so even though that number that Reed Sorensen has posted up there is very impressive, it will get reset, and we're assuming he's going to be able to stay in the top 12 with that number. Probably will end up the fastest in this session.
I think that's a safe
pretty good bet.
Yeah.
So that will be reset. He'll have to go back out there for another lap to determine where he will start.
I mean, he beat Kurt Busch with a Hendrick engine. Stewart Haas equipment beat him by half a second.
Yes.
Here's Ryan Newman in an RCR car. He's going to beat by 0.8 of a second. I mean, that was a huge lap.
Yes. Very impressive. As Ryan Newman comes through the tri-oval and down to the finish line. See, he's almost 0.7 of a second off. He is third at quickest. Currently 12 have gone of the 41 that will have an opportunity. See the pink paint scheme for Austin Dillon. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And take a look at Austin Dillon. 13 starts. His average finish 14.5 on restrictor plate tracks. And if you remember a year ago in July, he did end up crossing the start-finish line at Daytona, even though he ended up in the catch fence, but still in a position to keep his average finish 14.5. I mean, he's had success at these types of tracks. Here, just wide open down the backstretch.
And he's had a very successful year. This year has been the eye-opening year, the year where it all kind of came together, where things started to make sense. And it takes a while, you know. So RCR, we documented they don't have the fastest cars, but Austin Dillon and his team, they've led RCR. They've been, for the most part, the best team at RCR, and that's a step forward for him and his team.
This is going to be a pretty good lap.
Yeah, it's going to be down in the 49s for sure, and that was compared to 12. 49.82 puts Austin Dillon right there in third behind Kurt Busch.
And we've seen the three out front and lead and win the pole at restrictor plate racetracks. So,
and I think this is a good, not just a good track for him because his stats are good, but a good track because it is the great equalizer. We talk about anybody can win here. Well, when you talk about the three, a car that has performed better this year, you know, this track hopefully will allow him to get up there and run for the win. But to do that, he's going to outrun or need to outrun the two Penske cars.
Right.
We expect both the 2 and the 22 to be very competitive here.
Very strong as Joey Logano looks to be able to be inside the top 12. Once again, quite a few cars still to go in this session, as only 13 have gone to this point. Again, the top 12 will advance into the second round. They will have an opportunity to win the pole. That's coming out of the second round of this qualifying session. And again, a pretty good lap here for Joey Logano. He'll also dip below the 50-second mark.
Should be right there near Austin Dillon, I think.
Maybe even a little bit better. We'll see where he ends up. Just behind him. Fourth quickest for Joey Logano. Of the three chase drivers that have been on the track for qualifying, all three in the top 4. We'll be back with more after this. Pretty sure he will be racing on Sunday. He was 4th quickest with the lap that he was able to turn. Ryan Blaney still another one of the drivers searching for his first win, as is Austin Dillon, who's currently third on the list.
Yeah, right now the guy that's on the hot seat is David Gilliland. He's the slowest of the cars that are going to need to get in on speed. There's one more left to go in Ryan Reed, so we'll see how fast Ryan Reed runs here in a few minutes.
And Ryan Reed trying to make his first ever Cup Series start. He is involved in the Xfinity Series chase as Almirola shuts it down. Two-car rolling onto the track. Brad Keselowski has won 2 straight. You know, the only other guy who has won 3 straight? Dale Earnhardt Sr. At his first career Sprint Cup Series win in 1990, a Daytona win, and then Talladega came to 3 straight restrictor plate race wins for senior. Brad Keselowski could join the Intimidator on that list as the only 2 drivers that have ever won 3 consecutive Sprint Cup Series races, restrictor plate races.
I think anytime you can get your name mentioned along Dale Earnhardt, you've done a good job. Dale was perhaps the greatest driver in NASCAR's history and unbelievable on restrictor plates.
We would compare this lap to Logano's. Logano ran a 49.87. We'll see what Brad Keselowski's able to do. He outdoes him. 49.66 for Brad Keselowski, all the way up to second quickest for the 2-car.
You see a little bit of water coming out of the right side cowl area at the base of the windshield for the 2. That's because the grill openings are taped solid to help the aerodynamics of this race car. But some of the way that NASCAR controls the pushing and the tandem that we used to have, each team is required to run a valve that at a certain pressure lets water out at a certain temperature, certain pressure. So not a huge cause for concern there, but we would expect to see that as some more cars as qualifying continues.
And that pop-off valve, they had changed the pressure on that so that they could limit the amount of pushing and tandem running and the different styles that teams had figured out when they came to these racetracks. As we see Tony Stewart on the track for his final qualifying run at Talladega Superspeedway. And this is his final season running full-time in the Sprint Cup Series.
And we're comparing Tony Stewart to the 12th pace because top 12 advance into the second round. And Reed Sorensen at the top of the chart has put down an impressive lap, about 3.5 tenths better than Brad Keselowski. The 55 needing to make the race on time. He has done it. He has beat enough cars that he's guaranteed in as Tony Stewart ends up 8th.
Dave.
Guys, I just talked with Pat Trice, crew chief on that 55 car, and confirmed with him that the motors are manufactured by Arrington. But Pat told me also we did everything for qualifying. You guys talked about it. You know, the different oils and the different things you can do to try to gain some speed to make the show. And then he confirmed that they would definitely have to go behind the wall once the race starts to effect changes to that car to make it raceable for the entire 500 miles.
Which in essence what they've said is they felt it extremely valuable just to make the race. They know that they're not going to be able to win the race, so they're going to have to take some time to go behind the wall to change what they've done just to get into this race.
Yeah, that's a calculation that this team has made, that it's a difficult decision to make, but that's the decision that they made. And then, you know, right now somebody's going to go home, and you don't want to be that person. So they made the sacrifices they had to make to get that race car in the show.
And we won't know the one driver that will end up going home until Ryan Reed goes. 4 of the 5 have gone. Ryan Blaney, David Gilliland, Reed Sorensen, and Matt DiBenedetto have already been on the track. Ryan Reed still to go.
I don't believe Danica Patrick and this 10 team are going to be really that happy with this lap while it's tracking to be inside the top 12 currently. We'll look at Kurt Busch, Danica's teammate, all the way up in 3rd. So you would think you would want to run close to your teammates. Tony Stewart in 8th. Danica Patrick the slowest of the 3 SHR cars at the moment.
She is 12:50.495. Mears, Hamlin, Larson coming up next. So many still to go. The next car that was supposed to go out onto the track was supposed to be the 11 of Denny Hamlin, but they seem to be having an issue on pit road, and so the 42 of Kyle Larson has skipped ahead in line and now on the track. And they're pushing the 11 back right now. Remember, the 11 had a problem, and you see the 18 also going back. But the 11 had a problem after finishing second and third in the 2 previous races. They did not advance into the chase because they had the roof hatch come loose at this racetrack. So with an issue with the 11, they are headed, I believe they're going to go back behind the wall.
Back to inspection is what we hear. NASCAR says they're going to push the 11 and the 18 back through some sort of inspection, but the issue is they're on a 5-minute clock.
Right.
Which is, so what the 5-minute clock is NASCAR, when it's your turn to qualify, if you cannot present your car, if you have a mechanical issue, or in this case an inspection issue, you have 5 minutes to rectify that issue and keep your opportunity to qualify. When that 5-minute expires, I don't believe the 11 and the 18 will have an opportunity to qualify.
A lot of stories unfolding in this qualifying session. So we saw the 18, the 11 going back through inspection, both chase drivers. Now the 78 is on track, but we've also been hearing that parts have been confiscated from the 78 team, and NASCAR has yet to speak about why they were confiscated, but there have been parts confiscated from Martin Truex Jr.'s number 78.
Yeah, parts are taking off race cars during the weekend. That is relatively common. We're just going to have to see when NASCAR's ready to comment what the issue is or isn't. It's something that's just going to have to play out. I don't think anything at this point would be purely speculation. The fact is that a part came off.
Yeah, don't jump to conclusions that there's going to be a major penalty or that there's not.
Right.
I mean, every
don't know
weekend,
the information.
yeah, every weekend parts are taken, especially at restricted plate races. So don't jump to a conclusion that there's a major issue. We just don't know yet.
But now it's Ryan Reed who's on the track, and he's one of the 5 that has to qualify to get into this race. And for an update on what's taking place on pit road, let's go to Dave.
A lot of Joe Gibbs Racing drivers, crew chiefs, and cars rolling back toward the garage area. Just saw Matt Kenseth walking back there. There goes his car being rolled back. I spoke to Kyle Busch's crew chief, Adam Stevens, briefly. And what he told me was that the area in question from NASCAR officials, and I'm assuming it was from the inspection for which there is no time frame, the visual inspection. NASCAR officials saw something, Adam said, where the deck lid rolls over to the quarter panel, and there's sort of like that straight line, Steve, where they kind of meet. They thought that line was too low, and so Adam says he has no earthly idea why they thought that, but they're all now complying with NASCAR and rolling back to inspection.
And waiting to see what happens here with Ryan Reed in reference to who goes home of the 5 drivers. Ryan Reed jumps into the top 12. 8th place finish for him as far as in this qualifying session, and that means that the 35 of David Gilliland will not race on Sunday. So a lot of things happening in this qualifying session. Stay with us. So from the time that they passed inspection and went out onto pit road, apparently NASCAR has seen something they didn't like, called those 3 cars out of line and made them go back through inspection. We ride along with 24 of Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott won the pole in May, running 49.704 seconds over 192 miles per hour, the average around this 2.66 mile super speedway. The 5-minute clock that the 18 of Kyle Busch was on has expired. The 11 of Denny Hamlin just went onto the racetrack. So the 11 of Denny Hamlin will be the next on the clock as we're finishing up with Chase Elliott. And Chase Elliott looks like 0.2 of a second quicker than what Newman had run, so that pushes Alex Bowman down to the 12th position as Chase Elliott goes 4th quickest. And the 18, as I had mentioned, the clock had expired, but they were on pit road, and so they have been told by NASCAR that they will be able to run. They will be able to complete a lap of qualifying. Again, Denny Hamlin now on track. 29 straight top 10 starts for Denny Hamlin, and that was in jeopardy and still could be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
As they had to go back through inspection.
See Denny's left hand there off the steering wheel, trying to block a little bit of that opening between the roll bar padding and the window net.
Every trick, everything you can do, why not try it?
Dave.
Rick caught up with a breathless Mike Wheeler, the crew chief on the 11 cars. He was heading back up toward the front of the grid to watch this lap by Denny. And he said they had to just beat up, he called it, the right rear quarter panel area, the deck lid area, so that it would fit the template. And he said once we did that, then it was fine. So he's back up there watching his driver run this lap.
Denny Hamlin goes 7th quickest, so he's in the top 12 now. And using a little bit of left-hand aerodynamics, at least he believes that helped him out.
Yeah, in the 7th position. He should be close. We have Kenseth, Johnson, Harvick still to run. Kyle Busch, we'll see how long or if that's good enough to stay inside the top 12. It's very tight, other than Reed Sorensen.
Right.
From 2nd all the way back to 12th, very tight.
Joey Logano, the lowest right now that's in the top 12. Could be pushed out depending upon what Kyle Busch does. Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, all still to go.
See how low Kyle Busch is on the racetrack. Actually, has his left side's almost below the yellow line coming off turn 2. Just try to make the shortest way around the racetrack. This track is so big, has so much banking. You operate so far below the car's limit. You don't have to let the car swing out to the wall. Centrifugal force doesn't push it out there. So you just try to make the shortest way around the racetrack possible.
Coming into the front stretch in the tri-oval. Still in the green, but barely for Kyle Busch. Could be good for Joey Logano. Actually finishes just in front of Joey Logano. So Kyle Busch 10th quickest. Logano now on the cut line. So Joey Logano currently 12th.
And Rick, Paul Menard all the way up in 6th is at a 49.80. And Joey Logano in 12th is at a 49.87.
It is still
you know what? I know that there's not as much on the line for Jimmy Johnson. I say there's not as much on the line. I'd still believe that Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick can control their fate by keeping someone out. If there's a really good team, and I don't know who it is, but there's a really good team that these guys do not want to race against in the next round. And if they can win the race, they might can push that guy out. So I don't think they go into this race without it meaning something. And anytime you go to a race, you want to win it. But also anytime you come into Talladega, it's nerve-wracking. It is stressful. It's all those things. And that doesn't go away based on your situation.
Jimmy Johnson doesn't break into the top 12. He's 13th on his qualifying run. His teammate Chase Elliott 4th. So a little bit more speed out of the 24 than the 48.
And Rick, as we watch Kevin Harvick here on the racetrack, if you look at the timing on the left side of your screen, look at all the yellow cars, all the chasers, all right up there inside the top 13. So even though it was, even though this is restrictor plate qualifying, and we talk about how it maybe the track position isn't as important as maybe a Charlotte or a Kansas, you can see that the teams that qualify for the chase have still brought the fastest group of cars, really.
Harvick struggling to break into the green. Actually going the wrong direction now compared to Joey Logano.
And also remember, as far as preparation coming to this race, no one knew the situation they were going to be in when these cars were being prepared. So this is the best they have. They don't know how to do any better than this. It's not like they could say a few weeks ago, hey, we're in, we don't have to put effort into it. You put the effort in already before you knew your situation. So this is the best they knew to bring to the racetrack.
And as Harvick makes his way to the finish line of his qualifying lap, he will be 18th quickest. Shuts it down and will glide all the way back around. Again, averaging over 192 miles an hour around this track, so they will just roll all the way back around. There comes Landon Castle in the 38. Castle on the clock, and Castle, another one of the drivers, hoping to break into the top 12. Like a shot at one of those starting positions. The guy who everyone's chasing is Reed Sorensen, and I think Mike has actually caught up with him.
Yeah, he's been fast, but somehow I found a way to catch him. That's for sure. Where did all that speed come from?
Well, we're in full qualifying trim today, so just real proud of the guys. They knew we had to qualify into this race, so they did a lot of work, and proud of them. And actually, I was going to go take a shower because I ran the truck race, and I was like, I have to go run around too. So came back back out here, and we'll see what we can do in round 2.
What do you expect in round 2?
It shouldn't be a whole lot different. The winds are picking up a little bit, but should be pretty similar.
Feel like you can pull off this upset? It would be an upset and win the pole today?
It would be. We'll see. As a driver, you just try to hold the wheel as straight as you can and, run the bottom. It's pretty easy here. So not much a driver can do. It's kind of out of our hands, and just hope for the best.
Have to wait and see, guys.
So again, Reed Sorensen has the fastest speed in this first round. He had mentioned that he ran the truck race earlier today. He finished 18th in that race. As we see Brian Scott working his lap 0.3 of a second off what Joey Logano has already posted. Again, just under 10 cars still to go in qualifying for this first round. 41 cars, one will go home. David Gilliland didn't have enough speed of the 5 that were fighting for a starting spot. Brian Scott guaranteed a spot in the starting lineup, and he goes 21st quickest on his lap. Here's Matt Kenseth after having to go back through technical inspection. He is now on the track and getting ready for his qualifying lap. Green flag goes in the air for him for his 1 lap. And right away he's in the green.
Well, and I think we could expect that with his 3 Joe Gibbs Racing teammates in 7th, 9th, and 10th. It's been reported all weekend that those 4 cars, while brand new for this race, whatever they have built into these new race cars seems to be working in single car speed. We'll see how they draft, but normally at Talladega, handling's not a huge issue, so if qualifying speed is there, I think it's safe to bet, Jeff, that they're going to have speed in the pack as well.
Yeah, well, I'm curious what pack they're going to be in. I mean, what do you do if you're Matt?
Right.
You have a 29-point advantage over the cut line. What do you do? Do you get in the pack and race? Do you ride in the back? Either way you can get in a wreck, so it's a tough decision, but be interested tomorrow to see when they drop the green flag which direction he goes in. This is your good qualifying run of 4th.
Pretty good lap for Matt Kenseth. In the top 4, 3 are Toyotas. Matt Kenseth being 1. And the next one that will take the checkered flag.
So now we're basically trying to set the top 12, Rick. We have Trevor Bayne on the racetrack. Ryan Blaney sitting in the 12th position. Kyle Busch in 11th. Edwards in 10th. As Bayne is trending just a little bit quicker than Blaney.
Logano was pushed out of the top 12 by the run by Kenseth. So, Jeff, as you mentioned, now maybe some drivers, their strategies might be dictated to them based upon where they're starting. Bayne potentially breaking into the top 12 here. 10th quickest for Trevor Bayne. Now Kyle Busch is on that cut line. Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, A.J. Allmendinger, and Greg Biffle still to qualify. Seeing Stenhouse Jr.
A lot of Roush Fenway cars all in one big bunch. Remember, this qualifying session, it goes based on practice speeds from yesterday, so these teams probably went out in a pack all running together, and they ran their fastest speed in the pack. So that's why they're going out and qualifying in the order that they're in.
And running right about the same time as what Kyle Busch has run. The reason that Kyle Busch is ahead of Blaney, even though they ran exact same times, is based upon owner points. So the owner points will determine which one is ahead of the other in this qualifying session, and that's actually very big right now for Blaney and Kyle Busch because they're on opposite sides of the cut line.
That has happened here before, actually. When I was a crew chief for Jeff Gordon, we tied a Robert Yates racing car for the pole back in 07. Ran the exact same time, and we ended up with the pole because we were higher in the points.
Right.
But can you imagine that? Back to 2-lap qualifying, and we tied for the pole in the front row.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just pushed Kyle Busch out of the top 12. He goes 7th quickest. Boy, Chris Buescher. I mentioned some drivers, when they come to this racetrack, they have to think back to history. The ride that Chris Buescher took, not one that I would imagine anyone would want to take. Look at the barrel roll down the back straight.
Yeah, so we talk about, what teams are going to do and what drivers are going to do. Look where he was running. He was running toward the back of that pack and still got caught up in this wreck. Didn't get run over from behind. Just another car caught him in the quarter panel and got him turned around. The car started flipping. So this is what all the drivers are afraid of, flipping, but they're perhaps more afraid of just getting in a wreck that they had nothing to do with. Sitting there minding your own business. Next thing you know, you're flipping down the back straightaway. And that's what gets everyone's attention at Talladega.
We continue to talk about how safe this sport is, and the safety is the #1 priority. But it is still extremely dangerous. These cars traveling at over 190 miles an hour on their own. In a pack, they'll be upwards of 200 miles an hour. And then you think about Chris Buescher barrel rolling at that speed down the back straight.
Didn't look fun.
No. 0.7 of a second off of what Carl Edwards, who's on the cut line. Chris Buescher goes 31st quickest. A.J. Allmendinger, another one who will look back to earlier this year and say, I was in the wrong place. Yeah. Cars come up the racetrack. He gets into the side of the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And there's really no right place to be, well, with the exception of being out front.
Oh, I've seen them.
If you're out front.
I've seen the leader wreck. Yeah. I've seen it many times. The leader and the second, third place car get together and wreck. So there is no safe place.
And I mentioned, again, this sport has gotten very safe, a lot safer than it used to be. But there is still, when an impact is made, it doesn't matter how much safety it can take the breath out of you. There's still a lot that happens to these drivers, as we saw A.J. Allmendinger climb out of that car.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard shot. Looked like it knocked the breath out of him.
Yeah.
Got out of the car and went down to his knee.
In the red, about 0.7 of a second off of Edwards. So Allmendinger, he finishes up his lap in 31st. And the final car of this first round of single car qualifying from Talladega, Greg Biffle.
We've seen speed from all the Roush Fenway cars. So Carl Edwards is the guy that's in 12th place right now. So if we could knock him out, we have another one of our chase contenders not in the final round.
Stenhouse Jr. and Trevor Bayne already ahead of where Carl Edwards is on this qualifying list. And into the green goes Greg Biffle. So Greg Biffle potentially will push Carl Edwards out of the top 12.
Looks like he's going to easily push him out.
That would leave just 7 of the 12 chase drivers moving on to the second round. As you mentioned, Biffle staying in the green, staying right about 0.8 of a second in front of what Edwards has run as he goes through the tri-oval and coming to the checkered flag. The final one in round 1. Greg Biffle, 5th quickest.
Good day for Roush Fenway. All 3 cars in the final 12. Jimmy Finney, longtime crew chief, is in charge of the restrictor plate program, so he's done a nice job. We saw him qualify well at Daytona also.
Let's go down to pit road and Dave.
Back in the garage now with Kyle Busch, who's been bumped out of the final round. So you're getting ready to qualify, and then all of a sudden your car gets pushed back into tech. What did your team tell you about the infraction that NASCAR wanted you to go back through for?
Nothing yet. Not my problem. I just worry about driving it and doing the best I can do there. So did everything right, and we ended up exactly where we thought we were going at 14th. So we'll take it. That's fine, and we'll go race them in tomorrow and see what happens from there.
You know, things are so small aerodynamically here. Did it feel any different than it did yesterday before the changes in tech here?
No, not at all. Everything was really the same. We did some single car stuff yesterday, just barely. Didn't really do a full mock run or anything in taping it down or anything like that. But knew we had decent speed. And obviously, some of our other JGR cars, they had a little bit better speed than ours. I guess I've had one speedway pole in my career, so I might end with that. Really not worried about sitting on those. But more times than not, we'd love to be able to finish these things, and that's all we got to worry about tomorrow is being able to capture the right amount of points and able to move on.
That's the key tomorrow. Moving on, Rick.
Kyle Busch will start 14th. He wants to advance to the round of 8. All the cars in the top 12 will get ready for second round. Get your NASCAR covered when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR. It puts race coverage, live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. You can even listen to drivers and teams discuss race strategy. Download now at NASCAR.com/mobile. Take a look at 13th through 40th as they will line up for tomorrow's race. Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, the Chase drivers that didn't make it into the second round. They will not advance. One driver who won't race tomorrow. There were 41 cars here. David Gilliland. He did not qualify for tomorrow's race. And you look all the way down to 40th and 41st. David Reagan will start 40th on the field. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing had quite a qualifying session here. The 11, the 18, and the 20 all had to go back through inspection while qualifying was underway.
Yeah, so the last thing NASCAR does is basically a visual inspection of the cars. During that visual inspection, it appears there was something they didn't like. They want to go back and confirm it. They pushed the cars back in. They had to remove the deck lid fins to put the grid down on. It sounds like adjustments were made perhaps to some of these cars to make sure they were in compliance. They were able to make those adjustments, get back to pit road under that 5-minute clock, Jeff, and get their qualifying laps in.
Yeah, they all qualified well. Obviously, Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch did not transfer into the top 12, but still at 13th and 14th. Not bad qualifying efforts.
Denny Hamlin did. Let's hear from him. He's with Dave.
And he was sitting in his race car, Rick, while they pushed it back there to technical inspection. And there was some work going on. How much hammering was going on to get that thing compliant?
It didn't take a whole lot, for sure, but nothing I'm going to complain about anyway. I mean, we're trying to get everything we can get. I'm always up to my crew chief all the time about make sure you get all you can get. We don't want to get beat by people that are doing the exact same thing. So it's, we got a good FedEx Toyota once again, and hopefully we improve on that spot and get us another top 10.
How was it yesterday in the pack? I would call it a corporate pack because you all kind of raced together there. Is it a drivable 11 car for tomorrow?
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I felt like, in the little pack that we had, we were running pretty good speed. Really can't tell anything about handling. We definitely didn't want to wreck this car in practice. We needed to keep it in one piece for the race, so we had to play the smart move there. But handling has not really been a huge issue here at Talladega since the repave, so we'll take our chances on that, knowing that, look, we're trying to get every ounce of speed out of the car that we could to get a good qualifying spot.
All right, sounds like really unaffected here. Mike, how about your side?
Unaffected. That's a good word, I think, to describe what happened with Carl Edwards. He was the one JGR car that did not get called back through inspection. When that was all going on, what were you thinking?
I don't know if I was unaffected. There was an emotional toll watching all those cars go, and I thought, I hope we're not doing whatever is going on there. But it looks like, well, Stanley hammer fixed just about anything. It's amazing with all the technology we have that you still bang on something with a hammer and fix it. So I'm pretty excited about our subway camera. It seems really fast, and I think all of our cars are good. Everyone's put a lot of work into this, and just excited to get this race going. Hopefully have a really good one, and it'd be great to get to victory lane.
And Carl Edwards still looking for his first restrictor plate win this weekend. He'll roll off 13th.
Now the question is, who's going to win the pole? 12 drivers, all with an opportunity coming up. He's champ Lewis Hamilton, who has won this race 4 times. United States Grand Prix coverage at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Beautiful Logan Martin Lake. The racetrack here. Reed Sorensen was fastest in round 1. The question is, can he surprise the field of 40 and win the pole at Talladega? The answer to that coming up next.
Americans are buying more and more of everything online. And so many businesses rely on the United States Postal Service to get it there. Because when you ship with us, your business becomes our business. That's why we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Master the work week. Now through October 23rd, buy one, get one free on office casual wear. Plus all non-iron dress shirt.
Eastern. Steve and Jeff, I know you guys are an integral part NASCAR America on a daily basis.
Yeah, this week I get to do Monday after Talladega, which is always interesting, but then also I do Thursday before Martinsville, so I get the preview and the review, so those are always fun shows.
Well, and normally qualifying at Talladega is a little uneventful, but we've already seen a ton of storylines today, so there's really no telling what we'll see after tomorrow's race.
You would not use the word uneventful in today's qualifying session, as we saw 3 of the Joe Gibbs racing cars have to go back through technical inspection. Still a question mark on the 78 as parts were taken from that car earlier today.
As we see Trevor Bayne here come down across the start-finish line, the top 12 cars will go out basically in reverse order. So Sorensen, the fastest car from the first round, will go out last. Trevor Bayne was 12th quickest, so he gets to go out first. So the goal would be for all of these cars, when you go out, you should end up first if your car has been able to back up the lap time. But with 3rd through about 12th being so close, I think that we could see some upsets, some cars move around inside the top 12.
Can a driver make a difference here, Jeff?
I think with one lap it matters a little bit more, because if you don't get through your gears well, it can hurt your speed just a little bit. The driver has very little to do with it. If you have to do something really bad to hurt the lap. I don't think there's a whole lot you can do to help the lap, but you can certainly hurt it.
I'm glad you said that, because when you asked the question, I really just wanted to interrupt and say, well, they can screw it up. Right? They can mess the whole lap up, but it's hard. I mean, to your point, wide open around the bottom.
Right. 49.865 for Trevor Bayne.
I have seen a driver here forget in 2-lap qualifying, forget to run the bottom on the 2nd lap. I have seen that. I didn't do it.
I witnessed that very thing as well. Forgot to go back down to the bottom of the racetrack.
I watched the driver try to leave pit road in reverse one time and back into another car.
I think that was last year.
We did watch that as well.
It's Talladega.
I wonder what Clint's doing today.
I wasn't going to say the name. I can't believe you did that.
Well, hopefully he's in the bus. We're thinking about you, Clint.
So now it's Austin Dillon, and still Dillon searching for that first win and using the left-hand technique to maybe eliminate a little bit of the opening.
I like that you've given it a name.
Left-hand technique.
Left-hand technique. This is something that will be reviewed in the qualifying next year before Daytona. Remember the left-hand technique.
They'll give NASCAR a term they can put on the bulletin when they say to stop doing it.
Well, I mean, he's just putting his hand up on the roll bar.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he's going to be faster, it looks like, than Trevor Bayne.
A little bit faster, 49.829. Almost identical to what he ran in the first time outs as we take a look at Denny Hamlin. And this was last year. Once again, after finishing 2nd and 3rd in the 2 previous races, he came into this race with what he thought was a comfortable points position to advance into the round of 8. It didn't work out that way. They had a part failure, and so Denny Hamlin did not advance. Looking to make things better this year. Wants to be able to move on to that round of 8s, and currently running a little bit faster than Austin Dillon. Shortest distance around this racetrack, the fastest. So through the turns right there on the double yellow line.
You see they put their hands back on the steering wheel when they get to the corner. These straights are so long. Plenty of time to have one hand on the wheel. Today. Tomorrow, not so much.
Yeah. As they run inches apart from each other at 200 miles an hour.
This looks like it's going to be a good lap and an improvement for Hamlin.
Pretty solid lap there for Denny Hamlin as he goes 49.717. About a 1/10 of a second faster. Dave.
With Martin Truex Jr. now, who has a chance to run for the pole. Earlier, your car was taken back through technical inspection. NASCAR found something they didn't like. What has the team told you? What do you know at this point?
It's just a front jack screw. That was when they drilled the top down to put the, I guess they broached the hex in the top so you can put the wedge wrench in there. It was just a little too deep. So it wasn't a big issue. It wasn't a hollow jack screw like some people are saying on Twitter. It was just a part that was machined a little bit wrong, I guess is what the team told me. And they don't think it's a big issue. Obviously, it's not affected our speed any, so that's good. And proud of the guys, man. The Bass Pro Toyota is really fast. And I didn't know what to expect here today, so we just did some race stuff yesterday. But guys did a good job getting the car ready, and it'd be cool to get a pole here at Talladega.
All right, there's the truth from the driver, guys.
Yeah, and I think it was mentioned there that they perhaps took the car back through inspection, but every car goes through inspection the morning before qualifying. I believe that's when that issue is found.
So Paul Menard doesn't look like he'll be as quick as Denny Hamlin. So the first one to not top the chart in this reverse order qualifying. The fastest in the first round goes last. That's going to be Reed Sorensen. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now on the clock. We're coming to the green flag for his lap. And the number that he's trying to beat now will be the 49.71 of Denny Hamlin. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has had bright spots for Roush Fenway Racing this year. So they've been looking for them.
Yeah, it's still looking for that first career Sprint Cup Series win. Found a lot of success in the Xfinity level. Moved up to the Sprint Cup level. Has yet to break through to victory lane. We've seen some decent runs out of the 17, but not that race winning run. And this could be the track. We talk about anybody could win at Talladega. Well, obviously this Ford he's driving is fast. It's made itself into the top 12. Maybe tomorrow could be his day.
Something tells me, I've thought this all weekend, that this could be a good weekend for this team. I think that this team, we see they have speed. They're getting really a good lap time down. And I think a driver that's accustomed to competing for wins, has had several dry years, so to speak, having a chance to win a race, he's going to be willing to do whatever it takes. And this could be a special weekend for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and his team.
Pretty good lap for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He goes 49.623.
P1 right now.
49.789 was the lap he turned in the first round of qualifying. So a little bit better. Once again, about a tenth of a second pickup. Kurt Busch. We mentioned drivers that are looking for their first wins. Kurt Busch looking for his first restrictor plate win.
How close it is. Speed to Stenhouse Jr. You think about two different manufacturers, two different engine builders, two different body designs, two different chassis designs, two different drivers, and look how closely they're going on speed. That always fascinates me.
Does a manufacturer have an advantage when they come to Talladega? We've seen Reed Sorensen post an unbelievable lap in a Toyota.
Well, I think in years past, when there was more variety between the shapes of the bodies, there was perhaps an advantage at the speedways. But now with so much of the car is common, and the parts that aren't common are verified to kind of have the same amount of effect on the car. We just haven't seen one manufacturer really dominate here.
Kurt Busch second quick compared to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Let's flash back in this round of 12. The reason that Chase Elliott is in a must-win situation is because of this. On a restart, the 18 got into the back. He finished 33rd.
Running well on top of that. A very good run, as they've run very well in all the chase races. And then in Kansas, we saw after a pit stop problem with the left rear tire, then continued trying to make his way up, kept having problems, and just never recovered from it.
And what I think makes those problems even worse is he had very fast cars in both, led laps in both races. So, you know, it's not like they're underperforming. They just can't seem to get that car to the finish. Well, now, with the points deficit they have, that's exactly what this 24 is going to have to do, is get a fast car to the finish and perhaps to victory lane.
And certainly
thousands of seconds right now we're looking at.
Yeah, having a good 3 and 4. Look at the speed he picked up going through the corner. And certainly you don't want to be in the position they're in, but one thing about the position they're in, they know what they have to do. One thing, they need to go win the race. So there's no riding around. There's no strategy other than to just go win this race. Nothing to lose. Just go for it.
Pretty good pickup, as you mentioned. It was hovering right around the same for Chase Elliott until he went through 3 and 4, and then through 3 and 4 he was able to gain about a tenth of a second on what Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was able to run.
Picked up a lot from what he ran his first run. Also, he ran a 73 in the first run. He ran a 57 here. So a big pickup from one run to the next.
And this single lap format has really suited this 24 car. They've sat on 5 of the last 6 restrictor plate poles with this one lap format. So Alan Gustafson, the 24 team, has found a way to make that 24 car fast for one lap. But Greg Biffle's trying to prove them wrong and see if he can have some more speed. He had it, but now it's trending the wrong way down the backstretch.
Yeah, Biffle right now tracking in the red. Chase Elliott actually won the pole here in May.
Look at the speed coming back, though. Let's see if he can get through 3 and 4 well. This is all about how much the car is bound up. If the car is aerodynamically where it wants to be, spoiler out of the air. Car scrubs way more speed in the corner, of course, than it does on the straight.
It was trying to come back, but then pretty much leveled out about 9/1000ths of a second as he will cross the finish line, and Biffle is second quickest of the 8 that have been on the track. Flashback for Matt Kenseth. It was back in 2012 here at Talladega. He's out front, and the big one happens behind him.
Tony Stewart's car upside down, came back on his wheels though, fortunately.
And he celebrates in victory lane. Everyone's goal entering tomorrow's race to get to victory lane at Talladega Superspeedway. Kenseth right now tracking in the red. Does the wind changing going down a little bit now as we progress later into this session? Does the wind changing help these guys? Not as strong going down the backstretch anymore.
Well, I think I don't know that it's going to change enough from the first car to the last car to make that big of a difference. If you had gusty situations where the wind, you could have these large gusts, I think it would matter, but I don't think we have those conditions today.
Kenseth looking good. He's in the green. Can he hang on to it? That's the question. He does. Matt Kenseth goes to the top of the chart, 49.56.
Wow.
And you heard wow. Now Brad Keselowski. So Keselowski, one of the drivers that's below the cut line, 7 points down, fighting to advance into the round of 8. He'll have to make something happen at Talladega tomorrow. What will he do in this qualifying session? Right now tracking in the green.
He's proven he's done it before, though, has come in here in a must-win situation and won that race. So this is a track that he knows he can perform at.
A lot of people closing in, or I shouldn't say a lot, but people closing in on the 49.32 that we saw out of Reed Sorensen in that first round that we thought was unattainable by anyone else. But now getting a little bit closer to it, as we see right now. Keselowski's going to get closer to it as well.
Yeah, he ran a 66 in the first session.
And to the top of the charts goes Brad Keselowski
at a 52. So you ask if drivers can make a difference. Well, the car obviously makes the biggest difference. But one thing a driver has to do here is you push the brakes back, meaning there's no brake pad touching the rotor. So to get the car slowed down from one session to the other, you don't want to use the brakes, because once you use the brakes, now you have that friction for the next round. So here's Brad Keselowski swerving back and forth to get his car slowed down before he comes onto pit road. This is completely different than we see a post-race penalty for a team swerving back and forth trying to get the skew back in the car. This is all about the brakes and him needing to come on pit road at a slow speed carefully and not have to use those brakes.
Already thinking about the next round as he's coming off the track from the first round. As Martin Truex Jr. currently tracking in the green. And we may have someone dip below the 49.50 mark here, other than Reed Sorensen.
This speed of the 78 car has really just been remarkable all year. Every different type of racetrack. You know, it started maybe with the mile-and-a-half tracks, but now, Jeff, they've found the confidence, found the magic to bring that speed to other types of racetracks.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've done. And right there, P1 at a 5.08.
And so closing in on the 49.40s. The question now is, can he do it? Reed Sorensen coming out of turn number 4, building up the momentum as he's about to take the green. He was the fastest in round 1. Everyone was shocked by the time that he posted. Can he back it up in round 2? He'll have to do it if he wants to knock Truex Jr. off the top of the chart. 49.50 is what Truex Jr. was able to run, and early in this run it doesn't look good for Reed Sorensen. What did he do in the first round that he's not able to do now?
Well, the big difference is the car had to sit. You know, we heard that this car was in full qualifying trim. So the big advantage of the lightweight oils, the lightweight grease in the hubs, the lightweight grease in the gear, when things are cool, that is a major advantage. But now the second time around, there isn't as big of an advantage. These other cars have temperature in all of those components, and I think that's what you're seeing here. He's going to run much, much slower.
Through the tri-oval and back to the checkered flag for Reed Sorensen. Or the likely Reed will end up starting 12th. 50.855. Reed Sorensen will start tomorrow's race in the 12th position, but it's Martin Truex Jr. who gets his 11th career pole. And this his 401st start in the Sprint Cup Series. So a big run for Martin Truex Jr. Jr. coming into this race 13 points ahead of the cut line, but no one is safe at Talladega except maybe the guy starting up front, and we're going to hear from him next. Cavalry, 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC SN. Let's go to Mike.
Standing with the pole sitter, that would be Martin Truex Jr. An eventful day ending with a pole. Your 4th of the season puts you in a pretty good position, I would say, for Sunday. How do you look at starting up front here at this place?
Yeah, it's definitely the place to be to start the race. I think the key is just try to stay there as long as you can. So we'll see what happens. It's obviously a big race, a lot on the line, but looking forward to it. So proud of the guys, everybody back in Denver, everybody here at the racetrack for what they did here. This is all about the team. It's all about what they do. It's all about the guys at TRD in California building these engines. So hats off to all of them. Lucky to be sitting there holding the wheel and holding it on the floor. And it's a good day today. Hopefully we'll have a good one again tomorrow.
The playoffs have had an interesting complexion for you. The first round, you won a couple of races, and you made yourself the favorite. Second round, well, you encountered some bad luck. So what do you feel like you need to accomplish here in this cutoff race on Sunday?
All we got to do is make it through the next one. I mean, I think we've got some good tracks coming up for us, but tomorrow is going to be a tough race. There's a lot's going to happen, and we just got to hope for the best. So we'll just do the best job we can do. I feel good about my car. It's got a lot of speed in it, obviously, and it's a brand new car. So just, again, thanks to everybody, and they're going to give us our best opportunity to try to win our first Talladega race, and we'll see if we can get it done.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Martin Truex Jr. with a 13-point cushion above the cutoff line, trying to protect that and perhaps win on Sunday.
Mike missed it by that much, did Brad Keselowski. Looked like you had an easy run there. What happened?
I don't know. I didn't see you guys got all the fancy trackers and stuff, but no, the Motor Life Ford's really fast, and we're very proud of that. All 3 Team Penske cars look really good, so bodes well for tomorrow, Sunday's race, and being able to work together and kind of stay up towards the front. I feel like when you have fast cars here, it makes you look a lot smarter than you probably are, but we've got a really fast car.
I like watching you do what I would consider smart things, and so the weaving coming to pit road, keeping your brake pads off the rotor there. When did you guys... Oh, wow, our cameras are everywhere. When did you guys come up with that?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, there's, what works here is not the same, and someone was just asking me a minute ago, if there's anything you take for confidence from your previous wins for this weekend, and yes and no, but for the most part, Dave, every win has been kind of different, different tactics, different styles that have worked. So, there's never a guarantee just because of past success.
Well, and past success for sure here. You've got the same car you won with back here on May 1st. How confident does that make you?
Well, I didn't even know that part. Wow. Dave has more facts about my team than I do. But, the cars don't really mean that much to me because when you have a team that works on them all the time and they're always massaging them, they're not the same. They might be the same like chassis, but not the same, body or engine or all those things. So I don't really read too much into that. My confidence comes from just having speed.
And he's up front to start the race. Brad Keselowski qualifies second. Mike?
So there were some tense moments during qualifying for Denny Hellmann, but nonetheless, you put it inside the top 12. Pretty good start here in a race that means so much.
Yeah, it's a good starting spot for sure. We can certainly win from there. We'll have a good pit selection. So pretty jacked up about, what we could do tomorrow. Hopefully, we stay out of the wrecks and we're up front and no drama, just take the checkered flag.
What is it like coming to this racetrack knowing that your playoff fate really is at stake?
It is what it is. I mean, it's not much. These types of races, it's tough that, it's a cutoff race, but it's part of our, super speedway racing is part of NASCAR racing, so it's part of our format. You know it going in. Unfortunately, we put ourselves in a bad spot the first two, and I actually enjoyed the win or nothing type of format for myself. I don't like trying to come out here and points race. I'd rather honestly be have to go out there and know to win than to be out here and try to be conservative and have to look at points all day.
We know that you aren't conservative at these racetracks. After all, Denny Hamlin has already gone to victory lane in a restrictor plate race once this year, the Daytona 500, to open the season.
Kurt Busch will start 7th here at Talladega. You happy with the speed in the 41?
I am. We keep working our way up the speed chart a little bit at these single car restrictor plate qualifying. So we used to not quite make that final round of 12, and now we're happily and comfortably in it. And then it's like, man, what else do we need to try to find that last little bit to go for the pole? And I can't wait till next year when we go to Daytona and redo everything that we've got right now with the big change for next year.
What about the race, Kurt? What can we expect tomorrow?
We're hoping for a calm, cool, easy day where there's no big dramatic issues with the 41. I mean, everybody else can have their trouble and all the drama you guys want. We want to just be calm and smooth and top 16. That gets us to the next round.
Best you can wish for at Talladega, guys.
Interesting the way the first few rows line up here as far as strategy and what everyone's going to be fighting for, probably to stay up front in these positions because of the situation they're in with the chase.
Well, yeah, Jeff, you and I were talking about it. What a great front row. You have Martin Truex Jr. trying to protect 13 points. You have Keselowski trying to make up 7. Right behind Keselowski, you have Chase Elliott trying to win the race.
Yeah, and even further back in there, I mean, who in this group doesn't have to be aggressive? All these guys, Matt Kenseth, maybe he's the only one that has a decision to make, but row 1 through row 4, I think, is full of aggression, needing to win this race tomorrow.
And so we'll go a little bit deeper in the field. You have Austin Dillon still searching for his first ever win in the Sprint Cup Series, and he's also in a situation where he's got to have a great finish.
When you talk about Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards making up row 7, why both of those cars have points, think about that. They're going to roll off in basically the middle of the pack. So whatever strategy they have, it's going to be difficult to even get to that strategy. Go forward, go backward, or hang out where they're at.
And what's the one place you don't want to be?
Yeah, the middle.
Right in the middle. Jimmy Johnson back there in row 9. Kevin Harvick in row 11. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, they've got wins. So coming into this race, they don't have to win, but as you mentioned earlier, they might be able to dictate who advances if they're able to get up front and get
and having a Sprint Cup trophy is huge. It doesn't matter what the situation is. Some are bigger than others, obviously, but you want that win any chance you can race for it.
A little deeper through the field. Danica Patrick back in row 15 has had success at restrictor plate tracks. And to the final 4 rows. Chris Buescher trying to erase the memory of the last time he was here, and he barrel rolled down the back stretch all the way down to Jeffrey Earnhardt in row 20, keeping the streak alive of an Earnhardt racing at Talladega. It will be 74 consecutive Talladega races that an Earnhardt has been in the starting lineup. Congratulations once again to the 78 team and Martin Truex Jr. Coverage at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Dale Earnhardt Jr. once again will be joining us in the booth for a portion of the race telecast. And as the 78 is getting pushed back through the garage, let's go down to Mike Massaro.
And Rick, it was an eventful day for the competition department with NASCAR, beginning with the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. He ends up on the pole, but we understand that before qualifying began, that perhaps some parts were taken for further inspection by NASCAR. What can you tell us, Scott?
Yeah, they had a jack bolt that we didn't feel like met the specifications that we have in the rule book. Not a real competitive advantage. And what we'll do with that one is we'll take it back to the R&D center and go through our normal process like we do, analyze everything, and decide what we're going to do. You know, I mean, it's no different than the JGR cars or cars that, you know, failed the templates and had to go back through. It's our job to officiate the sport and make sure everything's right in this part, and the rest of today's activities are no different than we do every weekend.
Of course, with this being the playoffs and there being potential implications on the championship, I need to ask you if this could potentially result in a points penalty for the 78.
I would say it would be unlikely, but it has to go through our, it has to go through our process. We don't typically do that on a weekend. This is really, because it is the playoffs, everybody has a heightened sense of everything, but this is no different than things that we've done all year, and we will treat this one just like we do all year long.
You alluded to it in your answer, talking about the JGR cars being taken off the grid and being further inspected. What can you tell us about that situation?
That was again has happened before when our inspectors see something that they suspect was manipulated after inspection was over. You'll remember several times we've pulled cars off the grid and had them go back through inspection and rectify the problem.
What did you see once they did go into inspection? How far out of compliance were they?
It wasn't big. It never is. But, again, we pride ourselves in trying to do a good job, and it doesn't have to be big to be an infraction. It just has to be fair for everybody, and that's what we strive to do.
Thank you for your time, Scott.
Yes, thank you.
Scott Miller, NASCAR Vice President of Competition, guys.
Yeah, NASCAR's job is to make sure everybody's playing by the same set of rules. If they feel like somebody's not, it's their job to enforce it. So the teams are going to constantly push it. NASCAR's got to keep their eyes open, make sure nobody's getting an advantage.
Yeah, and you heard Scott say he had an opinion on the 78 that he didn't think it would be a points. He used the word unlikely, but left it open to go through the process. NASCAR has these processes during the week when all these parts are reviewed. We're going to have to wait like everyone else to see how that goes. But the Joe Gibbs cars, it seems to me that the visual inspection forced them back through the templates. They rectified the situation. They got out there, qualified, and still had speed.
Taking a look at tomorrow on NBCSN. Complete coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Chase Elimination Race from Talladega Superspeedway. NASCAR America at 1 o'clock. Countdown to green served by Sonic at 1:30. Then racing Talladega, followed by Advanced Auto Parts post-race show and victory lap. Coming up next, it's Whelen Modified Series racing from Thompson,